Good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Monday morning here in Victoria. I went and cast my vote this morning at a local high school, and now I am happy to be coming live with you. So let me just check my iPad so I can see any comments that come through. Hopefully there will be some people who will be joining me this morning. I did notice a new person requested to join my VIP crafters group, so welcome. Here we go. Person requested to join my VIP crafters group. Let's turn down the volume. That's the key thing, is that you can't have the volume going on two of your devices. So I film through my iPhone, which is just sitting up in front of me, and then I can turn it down to my desktop, and so that's my volume is up on that. And then on my iPad over here, I have my Facebook Live going over here, but with the volume turned down so that there's no echo. So Barbara is joining me this morning. Hi Barbara, how are you this morning? I hope you had a great weekend. I have my coffee here. I'm actually almost finished my coffee. Okay, I'm really excited about this morning because we have a great card sketch. I hope you saw that and you got to mark down all of the measurements. Carol is here. Good morning and welcome back. Camping days are almost over, I would think. Yeah, this is going to be a great card sketch. So I've already sort of planned out what I'm going to do, and I will show you. But first I want to tell you what stamp set I'm using. I am using this stamp bundle. It's called Merriest Moments. Let me just turn down my camera now because I have the catalog open and I want to show you the stamp set and some cards that I've been making with it. You won't believe this beautiful stamp set. There we go. Okay, so here is, let me turn on my light. Okay, so this is the stamp set. Now, this is a very unique stamp bundle because there's 3 parts to it. It's the first time we've had this. So we've got this Merriest Moments, and it has some beautiful Christmas greetings. I love poinsettias, so it's got the poinsettias, 2 sizes. It's got some extra foliage. It's got some grunge. It's got some berries and some holly leaves here, which you can also use for the poinsettias. So it's just a fabulous set. And so you get the stamp set, and then you get this unbelievable embossing folder. So the embossing folder will create a frame of foliage with a little bit of grunge in the background around the sides. And then there's a frame so that you can either build up the poinsettias, or you could do holly, or you could just do a greeting. And it's a deeply etched embossing folder. It's beautiful. And then you get a set of dies, and the dies are such that you can, first of all, you can cut out, of course, all of the leaves and all of the poinsettias, and there's some center bits as well. And then you have this large frame right here so that you can actually cut out this entire foliage piece. So what it does is it sits right inside the embossing folder. It'll just snuggle in there and sit in there. There it goes. There it goes. Okay, so it just sits in there. So if you wiggle it, it's kind of depressed in. So what that means is that, first of all, you can just emboss a piece and get this full embossed look. Or you can put this die in here and just wiggle it around until it sits in there. You have to get it in there just right. There it goes. Nope. There it goes. Okay, so then you can put the die in and run a piece of paper through, and it will emboss all of the foliage and then cut it out. It's still not sitting in there right. I had it right the first time. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Suddenly it doesn't want to go in there. It's always the case when I am filming. Things don't go, there it goes, quite right. Okay, so then you can cut that out. And then the third thing that you can do is once you've cut this piece out that has all of the foliage plus the square in the middle, you can then take this die right here. Let me pull it up off my sheet. Oh boy, it's really glued on there well. I try to find the best way to keep my dies. Oh, there we go. I put a lot of glue on the back of this. Okay, so once you have cut out this entire piece, then you put this piece on top. You'll put this piece on top, and then it will cut out more detail. Okay, it'll go all in between the leaves and cut out a lot more detail. And then the last thing that you can do is you can take this frame and you can either cut out the center or cut this separately and then mount it on top. It is just an unbelievable set. So I'll just show you quickly some 3 cards that I've made with it, just to show you that, how that works. All right, so this piece here, this card here, and I did trim this down. So normally I take a, you do need a larger than regular piece of cardstock to cut out or to die this whole thing, or sorry, to emboss this whole piece. So you need a 6.5 by 5 3/4, and then you can trim it. Okay, so this is the full, just the embossing folder on here. So it's the full piece that I embossed. And then so you can see it embosses this beautiful frame underneath it. And then I just cut out a separate piece and I did my greeting and added a poinsettia on here and put that on there like that. So that's one idea you can do. Okay. The next idea is on this one, the black piece underneath was I embossed the cardstock, and then I cut it out with the outline frame. And then I embossed another piece of white and I cut it out with the intricate die, this one here. So you can see how it cut all the pieces in between, and then I laid it on top of the black. So that's the second card that I made. Okay, and I mounted this on dimensionals and wrapped a bit of ribbon around. And then this shows you the die just intricate on its own, just by cutting it out. So I don't know how anyone cannot be impressed with this set. It's just beautiful. It's a little bit more pricey. It's $73.75 for the bundle, but you get the stamp set and you get the embossing folder, and then you get a huge assortment of dies. And so these are some of the cards, and people are using really different coloring schemes for Christmas. Today I'm sticking with kind of red and green, but I just love this set. When I first saw it, I thought, oh gosh, it looks too fiddly, but it really isn't fiddly. Once you know what the basics are, then it's easy to make. So let me just look up the comments, see who else has joined. Kathy has joined. Good morning, welcome. I saw your request come in this morning. I'm glad I caught that for you. All right, so let's get started. So what I did was, I've done most of my cutting, and okay, so I've cut this is a typical 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. This I'm going to use on the inside of my card, and we're going to do some poinsettia stamping in here. This is my card base. I decided to go with Real Red. And the Designer Series paper I'm using is the free set that you can earn. And we have until the end of the month to earn free stuff. So if you want some free stuff, you need to kind of get your orders in. So this has got lots of really fun paper. It's got the basic Sahara Sand, Real Red. There's Cherry Cobbler and Garden Green in here. So some really nice papers. In here. So I decided to use this. Okay, so this is the Real Red card base, okay? And then I decided to go with the Sahara sand. I'm going to put this piece across here, and I thought that I might emboss this. And then I've got the designer series paper. I'm going to cut this down, and you see how there's a little tiny border down here? Well, I thought some striping. I'm going to cut this down. I'm just going to do a little border of striping underneath here. Okay. And then I cut myself, I worked this out, this square, I cut this square out. If you have the dies, the square dies, then you can cut them from there and then get some stitching around there. This is 2.5 square. If you don't have the dies and you want to cut that, it's 2.5 inch square. And I'm going to build some poinsettias up on here. And then I decided, rather than doing stamping on the front, I'm going to do some poinsettia building. So I just went ahead and I cut out the large and the small poinsettias with the dies, and then I cut out a whole bunch of I've got 3 sizes of leaves here. So there's a large, a medium, and a small in here. And then I cut out, here's the small one. Whoops. So there's a small, medium, and large leaf, and then there's these adorable little centers. Or these could be mini poinsettias, but I'm going to build up the centers on there. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how I build up my flowers. So I'm not sure if I'm going to just do the one or if I'll do a couple of them. All right, so let's get started. I want to emboss this piece, so I'm going to run over to my embossing machine and quickly do this. So I decided to use my brick and mortar embossing folders, one of my favorite folders. All right, so I've got my card base, and then I'm going to cut this down because I want that little strip of paper underneath it. So let's just do we'll just go 1/2 inch. So I'm going to glue this on, and then I will trim it. Sometimes I like when I'm doing strips like this, I like them to be longer or wider than the card base, and then I can snip it. So what I'm going to do is I will put, normally I don't use tape on an embossed piece, but I'm going to do it for this one. And let's stick this on here. I just want a tiny bit peeking through. There we go. And this is going to go on top. Now there is another piece. You have to watch your layering if you want to do it, you know, like the sketch. This piece is underneath this piece here. So instead of doing this piece in either designer series paper or cardstock, I decided to bring in this ribbon. It's really quite a different ribbon. So it's already notched. I already notched the bottom out. And I'm just going to lie this in here like that. Let me just grab my... There we go. Okay, now I don't have to bother gluing this down, I don't think, because it's a very fine meshed ribbon. This is going to be great for Halloween cards. So I'm just going to lay this on here like this. So what I can do is just under here, I will, I'll just take my tape and just do a couple of short bits like that, because that's going to be covered over. Then I'm going to lay this ribbon on top like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put this on top like that. So let's get out my Tombow glue. I like to use Tombow for embossed pieces. So, Kathy, where are you from? It's always nice to know where people are from. And maybe since Kathy is new, the rest of you can introduce yourselves, because it's kind of fun to know who else is in the group. Okay, so I'm just going to put this on now. I'm going to straddle both sides and then I'll trim it. What kind of pies do you have in the oven? Okay, so I'm going to use my large scissors here. I'm just going to trim. Always trim from the back. Okay, I like this. This turned out great. All right, so then we have our square piece that's going to fit on here. And then I'm going to build up these poinsettias. So I thought I would just make some poinsettias on here. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to put some grunge on the back of this. So I'm going to take I need to grab my Sahara sand. I need to grab a couple of ink pads. Oh my gosh, you're making tortilla? I wish I was over at your house. Phil won't eat those, so I don't make them. So when I get a craving, I just, Thrifty's makes a great tortilla, so I just buy it from Thrifty's. Their pastry is to die for. Okay, so let's do some grunge on the background because I think the white's a bit stark. So I'm going to grab that little stamp in here. It's not really that little, but it's a good size for grunge. This is it here. And let's get a block. And I'm going to do this in Sahara sand. Okay, so I'm going to grab a scrap piece of paper so that I don't get my silicone mat filled with ink. But I like to stamp using my silicone mat because it provides some cushion for these photopolymer stamps. And I'm going to just stamp some grunge. Just to give it some texture in the background. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to build up our flowers. Now maybe while I have my inks out, let's stamp the inside of the card. So let's set this piece aside. So for the inside of the card, I thought I would do a bit of a border at the bottom with these poinsettias. So I'm going to use my Real Red ink pad. And I'm going to stamp off the edge of the paper. And I'll put in a couple of small ones in here. I love stamping off the edge of my cards. See, look how pretty that is. And I think I will fill in with some green. And I will do the, sorry, I will do the same for my envelope. I might add some grunge. Hang on, let's do some green. And I think I'll just use the small leaf here. I love these leaves because one side of the leaf is like, when it inks up, it's a solid color, and the other has some little striping on it. It's really kind of cool. Can you see the striping on there? I'm not sure which is the top or the bottom of the leaf, but there we go. And I think I'm going to just throw some grunge on here in the Sahara sand color. Whoa! Good job that didn't fall on the card. Okay, now there are some centers here, and there is a tiny little stamp. This tiny little one. It's really, really, really tiny. It's one of those tiny ones that you could so easily misplace or lose. And I am using the centers of the poinsettias I cut out of Daffodil Delight. So let me just grab my Daffodil Delight stamp pad. I should have brought out crushed curry. Okay, never mind. We won't use Daffodil Delight. We'll just use crushed curry, which is a great color anyway. So I will just fill in these little centers here with a bit of color. There we go. So isn't that pretty for the inside of the card? And then I could put a greeting. I'm not doing a greeting on the front. So let's think about a greeting. I did take out a greeting. It's Season's Greetings. I love the greetings on here. And look at the fonts. Aren't they great? I love this one because it's a mixed font on this one. And this is a mixed font too. A joyful Christmas to you and yours. Together is the merriest place to be. Yeah, Season's Greetings. Since I already have this mounted, I think I'll just do this one. And I think I will. I haven't done a greeting in black in a long time. I like to not always do my greetings in black. And so I've been using a lot of color for my greetings. But let's do black today. Now I'm just going to test this because when you have a brand new photopolymer stamp set, I like to ink up my stamp several times and even like rub it on the paper because sometimes they don't stamp very clearly the first time around. And let's get rid of this inky sheet here. So I'm going to line up. I think I've shown you this trick before. The silicone craft sheet is transparent. You can see through it. So I like to line it up on my grid sheet. And then I can line up my cardstock. This is for some of you who really want your greetings to be dead straight. I always figure if it's a handmade card, try not to be that picky. And so now I can just, gives me a visual to line it up straight. There we go. Okay, so that's the inside of our card. So we can go ahead and glue that in there. Look how pretty that is. I'm very happy with the way that turned out. And I'm going to do my envelope the exact same way. Very pretty. Okay, let's finish up the front now. So this is going to go on here like that. Let's build some flowers. So I might do 2 of them. So let's get out. You can do lots of layering with these flowers. So I could just do a large and a small, or you could do, if you wanted it, like if I was doing gift packaging, I would probably make it a little bit more 3-dimensional. So I might layer up 2 or 3 large ones and then 2 or 3 small ones inside. But I think for this card, we don't need it to be as fussy. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things that I like to do. I like to curl. Now, when you die cut, I'm sure I've told you this as well before, is there are 2 sides to a die cut, okay? You want to really watch. The right side has really nice, smooth, kind of rounded or turned down edges, and the other side is kind of sharp. So make sure you orient these the right way. So I'm just going to pull these down a little bit with my bone folder. Curl them just a little bit. And then I'm going to curl the smaller one up, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Yes, it will get flattened in the mail. But if you're going to give it handmade, or sorry, by hand, if you're going to give it by hand. Now, another thing I like to show you is if you take your kind of the rounded edge of, say, a pen or a pencil. So I've got, this is our old style, what I call a pokey tool, and it's got this rounded edge on it. So if you don't have this, if you have a pen, here, this is kind of a rounded edge, but it does have something depressed in the middle, so that might not work as well, but you need something rounded at the end. So if you have a, I don't know, a tiny, tiny little wooden spoon or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, and then you take your foam mat, the Stampin' Pierce mat, you know, the foam one. I don't have mine here. I'm still organizing my craft room. So I don't really have it handy, but what you do is you can then just keep rubbing in circles on the foam mat. It's too bad I don't have it here to show you, but I'm sure some of you have seen this technique before, but you need something that it depresses down, and then you just keep going around, and then the whole flower will start to lift up. So that's kind of a cool thing to do with your flowers. I have to find my mat. So I'm going to build up my flower now. And you want to offset your petals. And you could do the same thing with these little, the little small ones. You can, you could bend them, I guess, with your fingers like I'm doing now. But when you push it down in the foam mat, it's really a cool way to do it. Okay, so I'm just going to add a tiny bit of glue in there. I love building flowers, and I haven't done it for quite a while. think I had enough glue in there. There we go. I like to use tweezers, particularly with my nails. So offset my petals a bit. There we go. I'm going to let that dry. Set that aside to dry, and then we can put an embellishment in the middle. So there's one. So I'm not sure if I'm going to need both, but we'll just build up a second one. Who's crafting this morning? I bet Carol's crafting. Yes, yummy to tortillere. The best night for me to eat what I want is it the second or the third Tuesday of the month? My husband goes out to his squash meeting. He's the president, so he goes out now that they're meeting together now. And so he says, oh, you're on your own for dinner. I go, okay, that's fine with me. So maybe I'll plan to do the tortillere on that Tuesday night. What do you serve with your tortillere? Do you just serve a salad or some other vegetables? I think my glue is running out. These little flowers are so sweet. Yes, I think I am done with my glue. Sometimes I feel like I'm a jeweler when I'm using two tools at once. Okay, there are our 2 poinsettias. Aren't they cute? Okay, now we're going to do some leaves. Another trick with the leaves, and again, if I had my foam pad, is that you put it on the foam pad, you take your bone folder, and you just kind of score a line down the middle, or you can just fold it with your hand, like so. But I do like using that mat. Now, you can choose to, with all die cuts, you could, and stamp sets and die cuts with match, if they're matching, you could have stamped the leaves and then cut them out, or just cut them out. All right, so I like to put my flowers on. So this is the right side up of the flower, so I just put a little bit of glue on there. Okay, now it's coming out. And then I will just press it down from this side. This is a bit fiddly, but I enjoy it. Oh, Christine, you've joined us this morning. Glad you could make it. I'll bet you've got your coffee in hand. Okay, and now I'm going to put, let me just go into my bowl here. let's do, I should have cut some more small leaves. Let's do a larger one then. Oh, maybe I'll just do 2 on each. I thought I cut more leaves, but I guess I didn't. I think that's, I should put that a bit lower. That's too high. I like my leaves to be close together, and very often I'll put a third one on the opposite side. Okay. So now I'm going to, I think I'm going to put, no, I'm not going to put this up on dimensionals because I think the flowers are dimensioned up enough. So we have to decide. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. And I'm going to put this here. Like that. Hold it down for a couple of seconds. Okay, and then we'll do flowers. So I think I might do 2 flowers now that I've built 2 flowers, but you can tell me what you think. Maybe 1 is enough. Okay, so let's see what you think. Should I just do the 1 flower, or should I do, ooh, maybe I could do them like that, or 2 flowers? You think 2? 2. Okay, we've got 2 votes for 2. All right, let's do the 2. All right, I think we'll do the 2. A good pastry recipe is the way to go. And if I remember correctly, it's made with a French pastry called, I think it was called pâté brisé. It's not like a pie pastry. Oh my gosh, now look, I got glue now. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get a Q-tip out. I always have Q-tips at the ready. Let's put one down here. Let me just get rid of that Q-tip. Okay. There we go. I remember making tortilla with my good friend Brenda in Montreal. We would get together and make tortilla. We'd make several and then we could freeze them. Okay, there we go. Okay, what do you think? I think we need a couple of little somethings in the middle. So let's see what we could do. Oh, I think I might use these. I've got these little silver ones. Because we've got this silver mesh here, we could do a couple of these little silver balls. I think that would be good. There we go. All right, ladies, so that's our card for this morning.